In the silent hours before dawn, explosions ripped through peaceful German towns. But this isn't war, it's a new criminal epidemic. Armed with fireworks and ruthless precision, gangs are targeting Germany's lifeblood, its ATMs. What's fueling this underground boom? And why is Germany, of all places, ground zero? In the stillness of the early morning on Thursday, the 23rd of March in the year 2025, the quiet German town of Kronberg was suddenly and violently shaken awake. The sky had just begun its slow transition from night to dawn when a series of deafening explosions erupted from the heart of the town's center, jolting residents from their sleep. The blasts tore through the cold spring air, echoing off the hills and waking not only those in the immediate vicinity, but also residents in the neighboring districts. Panic and confusion spread as lights flickered on in windows, alarms blared, and people rushed to their balconies, unsure of what was happening. What they would soon come to understand was that criminals had once again struck under the cover of darkness. Their target was not a bank branch nor a jewelry store, but an ATM machine nestled beneath a residential block, a location that might have once seemed unlikely for such violence. The attackers had used powerful explosives, likely carefully selected and strategically placed, to blast open the cash vault of the machine. The sheer force of the explosion not only demolished the ATM, but inflicted severe structural damage on the building above it. Walls cracked, ceilings trembled, and windows shattered into sharp fragments that littered the pavement below like glinting confetti of chaos. In the aftermath, emergency services arrived quickly to assess the danger and evacuate the residents, many of whom stood outside in the cold, wrapped in hastily grabbed coats and blankets, watching their homes smolder in confusion and fear. Local media reported that a number of eyewitnesses had seen figures clad in dark clothing sprinting from the scene and diving into a black getaway car, which roared off in the direction of the nearby highway, vanishing into the darkness just before the first rays of sunlight broke over the horizon. In the minutes that followed the explosion, it became clear that this was no reckless act of vandalism. It was a calculated heist, one that netted the thieves a staggering sum of 130,000 euros in cash. However, the financial gain came at a high price for the community. According to a statement from Germany's Federal Criminal Police Office, known as the BKA, the cost of the collateral damage to the building and surrounding area was estimated at over €500,000. And beyond the monetary loss, there was a more insidious consequence, a lingering sense of vulnerability that settled over the town. In recent years, scenes like this have become all too familiar across Europe. Rather than the high-stakes, cinematic-style bank robberies that once captured headlines, modern criminal networks have turned their sights to automated teller machines. These machines offer a quicker, often less guarded source of cash, and in countries like Germany, where physical currency remains a favored method of payment, they present an especially lucrative opportunity. In fact, Germany, as Europe's largest economy and a country with a deeply ingrained cash culture, has seen a dramatic rise in such attacks. On average, more than one ATM is destroyed every single day. Criminals can walk away with hundreds of thousands of euros in a single operation, making these high-risk, high-reward schemes worth the danger in their eyes. In response, Europol and law enforcement agencies across the continent have begun intensifying their efforts to dismantle the international networks behind these crimes. Earlier in the same month as the Kronberg bombing, a major joint operation involving police from Germany, France, and the Netherlands led to the arrest of 3 individuals linked to a well-organized criminal group specializing in ATM bombings. Europol confirmed that these suspects had been using explosive devices to breach cash machines, and their activities had resulted in the theft of millions of euros and equivalent damage to public and private property between 2022 and 2024. Authorities revealed that the gang operated with a high degree of sophistication. They maintained safe houses in rural or secluded areas of France to avoid detection and relied on rental vehicles procured from a French car rental company to stage their getaways. As part of the operation that led to their capture, law enforcement agencies conducted coordinated searches of car rental businesses and seized data and vehicles tied to the crimes. This carefully orchestrated crackdown took place simultaneously across multiple regions in all three countries during what Europol dubbed an Action Day, highlighting the growing urgency and scale of the threat. According to investigators, the criminals typically used high-impact explosives, often repurposed from commercial fireworks, to rupture the ATM safes. While effective, this method carried enormous risks. In 2023 alone, such bombings in Germany caused an additional €28.4 million in secondary damage, according to figures released by the BKA. The danger was not limited to property. The explosive force used in these attacks has the potential to reduce entire building facades to rubble and spray deadly glass shards across the surrounding area. The quiet, residential neighborhoods where these ATMs are often located become unwilling battlegrounds in a war for illicit cash. Europol emphasized the recklessness of the gangs, many of which operate out of the Netherlands, describing them as being willing to take extreme risks and behave without any regard for human safety. Their getaway vehicles are often high-powered cars capable of lightning-fast acceleration, allowing them to evade capture through sheer speed, but also placing civilians in grave danger. Tragically, these operations do not always end without bloodshed. On the 11th of November, a robbery in Wiernsheim, a small town in the German state of Baden-Württemberg, culminated in fatal consequences. After making off with €40,000, 3 men, all reportedly from the Netherlands, attempted to escape in a Volkswagen Golf fitted with stolen plates. When police began pursuit, the suspects, in a desperate attempt to lose their tail, turned onto the A6 motorway, driving against the flow of traffic. At speeds reaching up to 200 kilometers per hour, their recklessness turned deadly. 2 of the men were intercepted at a rest stop and taken into custody. The third, a 30-year-old driver, continued the wrong-way flight for several kilometers until his vehicle collided head-on with a van. The impact was catastrophic. The driver and passenger of the van sustained devastating injuries. The passenger succumbed to those injuries days later in a hospital bed, while the van's driver survived but was left permanently scarred by the crash. As for the fleeing criminal, his luck ran out in that instant. He too was gravely injured, and upon recovery, was arrested, tried, and ultimately sentenced to life in prison. These stories serve as chilling reminders of the destructive wake left behind by the pursuit of easy money. The shattering of concrete and steel, the devastation of quiet towns, and the loss of innocent lives underscore the brutal reality of a criminal trend that continues to spread across Europe. And as long as the machines remain filled with cash and law enforcement races to catch up, the battle between safety and sabotage rages on. Germany, a country deeply rooted in traditions and cultural nuances, has become the epicenter of a new wave of criminal activity sweeping across Europe. In recent years, a troubling trend has emerged and gained momentum: the targeted destruction and looting of ATM machines. The scale and frequency of these attacks have placed Germany squarely in the sights of organized criminal groups, and a closer look at the country's relationship with cash helps explain why this nation has become such an attractive target. With more than 51,000 ATMs scattered throughout the country, Germany maintains one of the densest cash machine networks in all of Europe. By contrast, the Netherlands, a nearby neighbor, possesses only around 5,000 such machines. For most of Germany's 83 million citizens, accessing cash is a matter of utmost convenience. According to data from the Bundesbank, the nation's central bank, the vast majority of the population lives within a distance of just 1 kilometer from their nearest ATM. This tight concentration of machines ensures easy access for law-abiding citizens, but also creates an enticing opportunity for those with criminal intent. Unlike many of its European counterparts that swiftly transitioned to digital and contactless payment systems, especially during the height of the global COVID-19 pandemic, Germany has maintained a strong attachment to physical money. Even in the year 2023, a time when much of Europe had fully embraced electronic transactions, cash continued to account for half of all payments made in the country. Banknotes and coins still change hands in grocery stores, bakeries, markets, and everyday exchanges, serving as a testament to a cultural and psychological connection that extends beyond mere practicality. This deep-seated preference for cash is not accidental nor purely based on habit. For many Germans, particularly those belonging to older generations, cash represents a form of security that is immune to the potential pitfalls of digital surveillance and electronic fraud. It allows for greater anonymity and enables individuals to exert direct control over their financial decisions. These beliefs are, in many ways, shaped by memories of Germany's tumultuous 20th century history, including hyperinflation, war, division, and eventual reunification, which instilled a collective wariness of centralized systems and a stronger appreciation for tangible assets. A study conducted by the Bundesbank in the year 2016 revealed that the inclination to use cash is especially prevalent among older citizens. Their cautious financial habits reflect a broader generational ethos, one shaped by decades of instability and the need to preserve privacy. In a statement released in the aftermath of the pandemic, Bundesbank's board member Johannes Biermann emphasized that despite the surge in digitalization and the widespread behavioral shifts caused by the health crisis, cash has retained its place as the preferred method of payment for most Germans. His message reinforced the idea that in Germany, cash is not simply a medium of exchange, it is a symbol of trust and resilience. Geography, too, plays a pivotal role in Germany's vulnerability to ATM-related crimes. The country shares extensive borders with several European nations, including the Netherlands, which has seen a dramatic reduction in the number of ATMs over recent years. These reductions are not coincidental. They are the result of targeted efforts to curb ATM crime through the introduction of advanced security measures. One of the most notable innovations in the Netherlands has been the use of glue-based protection systems, which can irreversibly ruin stolen banknotes by releasing a chemical agent that binds the notes together into worthless lumps. Because such systems remain unauthorized for use in Germany, the country has become an appealing alternative for criminal groups operating from across the border. Moreover, Germany's sophisticated and high-speed motorway infrastructure, some sections of which famously have no speed limits, further facilitates quick escapes for criminals. Once a heist is carried out, it is often a matter of minutes before the perpetrators vanish along the Autobahn, making their way toward international borders. This geographical advantage, combined with the density of cash machines and the cultural commitment to using physical currency, has effectively transformed Germany into a magnet for cross-border criminal operations. The numbers reflect the growing threat. According to a comprehensive report released in 2023 by the Federal Criminal Police Office, or BKA, ATM bombings have been on the rise in Germany since the year 2005. Although there was a slight dip in incidents between 2022 and 2023, the nation still recorded 461 such crimes during that year, marking the second highest tally since official records began nearly 2 decades ago. An analysis of the timing of these attacks reveals that the majority of them occurred during the pre-dawn hours, specifically between 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning on weekdays. This time frame offers the cover of darkness, while the quieter working days ensure fewer witnesses. Interestingly, the BKA observed that these crimes tend to decline during the summer months, when extended daylight hours increase the likelihood of detection and reduce the element of surprise that criminals rely on. Recognizing the scope and severity of the issue, the German Banking Industry Committee, which represents all major financial institutions in the country, has publicly acknowledged that the extensive ATM network is partly to blame for attracting criminal interest. In response, German banks have collectively invested more than 300 million euros into an array of sophisticated security enhancements. These include cutting-edge alarm systems designed to trigger immediate police responses, ink-staining technologies that render stolen cash unusable, reinforced locking mechanisms to delay access, and even fogging systems that obscure visibility within the machine's enclosure to disorient intruders. Despite these efforts, the fact that certain preventive technologies, such as glue-based cash neutralization, remain prohibited within German borders limits the full potential of security measures. This regulatory restriction continues to leave vulnerabilities that determined criminals are all too willing to exploit. Nevertheless, the situation is not entirely bleak. In recent updates, the Federal Criminal Police Office reported that the number of ATM attacks recorded in 2024 appears to be significantly lower than the previous year. Authorities attribute this positive development to intensified collaboration between banks and law enforcement agencies, as well as to heightened public awareness and the deployment of advanced deterrence. In July of the same year, the German government took another bold step by amending the legal penalties associated with ATM bombings. Under the new regulations, individuals convicted of such crimes face a minimum sentence of 2 years in prison, doubling the previous threshold. In instances where the health or safety of uninvolved persons is endangered, the punishment escalates dramatically, with prison terms now ranging from 5 to 15 years. This marks a significant shift in judicial response, reflecting a growing recognition of the extreme risks posed by the explosive devices commonly used in these heists. Germany's Interior Minister, Nancy Faeser, publicly condemned the violent nature of these crimes, warning that anyone who engages in such reckless behavior is placing innocent lives in jeopardy. She emphasized that the perpetrators are not merely petty criminals, but are instead deeply unscrupulous individuals wielding highly dangerous explosives, willing to jeopardize lives and property for the sake of easy profit. Her message was clear: such acts will not be tolerated, and the full weight of the law will be brought to bear against those who commit them. As Germany continues to grapple with this growing threat, the balance between preserving the nation's cherished cash culture and safeguarding its citizens and infrastructure remains a delicate and ongoing challenge.